And welcome again to the Study Bible Study, where we study the Bible with study Bibles. God bless and amen. And Revelation 17:14 tells us, "And these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall conquer them, for he is Lord of lords, he is King of kings, and they who are with him are called and chosen and faithful." And back to our manual for men. What is patience? Well, I'm glad you asked. Patience is being able to wait and endure the trials of waiting, being steadfast in your time allotted to you, and to continually sustain with all perseverance while waiting. What are the characters of patience? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Patience is of a man who is unswaying and unabased from his purpose and loyalty to the faith, and remaining pious through time and trials and sufferings, cultivating one's character and remaining steadfast in the pursuit and the purpose at hand. Now Isaiah 40:31 tells us, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall walk, they shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and not faint." Psalm 27:14 tells us, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord." And welcome back to our manual for men. Some of the things we're talking about and addressing is, well, being upright, knowing salvation, walking in the Spirit, being prudent, being sensible, knowing sin. And we are going to know a little bit more about sin, and I'll start off with our prayer, or psalm of confidence in the Douay rhymes. This is Psalm 90, so I'm guessing it'd be Psalm 91 in other Bibles. Now he that dwelleth, this is a praise and a canticle of and for David. This just is secure under the protection of God. Psalm 90. He that dwelleth in the aid of the Most High shall abide under protection of the God of Jacob. He shall say to the Lord, Thou art my protector and my refuge, my God, in him will I trust. For he hath delivered me from the snare of the hunters and from the sharp word. He will overshadow thee with his shoulders, and under his wings thou shalt trust. His truth shall compass thee with the shield. Thou shalt not be afraid, nor terror of the night. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror of the night. Now of the arrows that flieth in the day, of the business that walketh in the dark, of invasion, or of the noonday devil. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. But thou shalt consider with all thy eyes, and shalt see the reward of the wicked, because thou, O Lord, art my hope. Thou hast made the Most High thy refuge. There shall no evil come to thee, nor shall the scourge come near thy dwelling. For he that hath given his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. For he hath given his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. In their hands they shall bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Psalm 90 or Psalm 91. In their hands they shall bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt walk upon the asp and the basilic, and thou shalt trample underfoot the lion and the dragon, because he hoped in me. I will deliver him, I will protect him, because he hath known my name. He shall cry to me, and I will hear him. I am with him in tribulation, I will deliver him, I will glorify him, I will fill him with the length of days, I will show him my salvation. We are in Avarice. Okay, Avarice. Now, the second The second is when one desires to have more than what is necessary, nor does he wish, as he is obliged, to bestow what is superfluous on the poor. Now the third is when someone possesses excessive goods that he loves, even if they are not superfluous, such as when someone is not prepared to lose his goods. In a case when it is necessary for the honor of God. A third condemning of avarice is when someone is not prepared to lose his goods in the case when it is necessary for the honor of God. Has anybody noticed all the churches are closed and gone media and commercial? Welcome to the new corporate system of staying in your house in front of your little plastic device. Although I'm doing the same thing, but the churches are closed, so obviously I'm not going to go there. We do have one church that's open though, the drive-in church. It's actually quite a fantastic thing they built over there. Very impressive. Very honorable people too. Very honorable. Now, for that reason, St. Paul says the avarice is idolatry, because the greedy man puts his goods before God and is more content to lose God than his goods. Now, these words from the great saint should strike terror in the hearts of the avaricious. Examine yourselves according to his words. Do you put your goods before God, and in your heart of hearts would you be more content to lose God than your goods? Which do you put first? The Agenda 3030 that people talk about on the internet. They said by 3030 there's a slogan. The slogan is, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, maybe to some, I guess it's, frame of mind. Some of it kind of makes sense to a certain point. I mean, when you don't own anything, you technically don't have to work for anything, and you're not responsible for anything, and I'm sure it alleviates a lot of pressure off of you. There's no real pressure to do good. There's no pressure to really succeed or press life to any great levels. It's just kind of a very interesting theory. So, I mean, if they make this happen, and which a lot of people, I guess, are predicting because it's, kind of written in this agenda that everybody's following. If they make this happen, I mean, do we continue chasing worldly goods knowing that they will not belong to us? Even the Bible directly teaches that you're not going to keep any of it. You're not going to be allowed to keep any of it. When you look at a subject like, I guess King Solomon teaches in the Wisdom of Solomon, he says that you're supposed to leave an inheritance unto your children's children. What exactly is he referring to? Is he referring solely to monetary? Is he referring solely to educational? Is he referring to morals and values and virtues? I mean, is it more important that you allow your kids monetary items and to be rich, or is it more important that you make sure your kids are educated in the world and against the world and to cope with the world and to have your morals and values, which is actually a tangible worth? I guess that's the question. But anyways, let's go back to, as it is a capital sin, avarice naturally leads to other sins. Now in his first letter to Timothy, St. Paul wrote, the love of money is the root of all evils, because it leads to many other sins. Now among them can be listed perjury, dissatisfaction, restlessness, violence, and hard-heartedness. Avarice can lead to fraud and to deceit and to the acquisition of money or goods. It is accomplished dishonesty as well when the desire is for the goods of others. Covetousness is a desire not only for money but also for the knowledge in high places, when prominence is immoderately sought after. Covetousness can sometimes make itself appear virtuous. For instance, under the pretext of saving up money and acquiring goods to support supposedly provide for one's future or the future of one's family, a person may actually be doing so out of greed, just to have more. Now, most often, the simple desire to acquire, possess, or take pleasure in riches is not a mortal sin and therefore not as grave as lust or some of the other forms of pride. However, this vice can give birth to covetous spirit, which is capable of leading to grave sin. For instance, you may desire wealth to such a degree that you will do anything to possess it, sometimes even murder, sometimes the means by which you acquire riches causes suffering for others. This too can be a grave sin. The sin of avarice easily leads to exaggerated frugality, stinginess, and extreme unwillingness to spend money or use resources even when necessary, inordinate thrift, parsimony, excessive greed, rapacity, theft, callousness towards the poor, as well as excessive and obsessive gambling when it becomes a way of life rather than a form of occasional leisure activity. Now, the popular saying, the more a person has, the more he wants, describes the avaricious person. The vice is, unfortunately, a symptom of our affluent society, a society that has more money and possessions than most people in most part of the world would have throughout history. We live in a society so prosperous that the people considered poor according to national standards routinely possess things as televisions, air conditioners, smartphones, and cars, and lattes, and everything under the sun, and which in many other parts of the world would be classified luxury items, yet there is still a desire to have more. We think of the greedy person, we usually think of someone like King Midas, who desired riches so much that he asked the god Dionysus to grant him the wish that everything he touched turned to gold. But avarice can find its way into our souls in a much more subtle ways. Consider what has become of the simple act of buying those things one needs to live today. Encouraged by enticing advertisements, shopping is no longer just a way to acquire things that we really need, but instead has become a common form of leisure activity. For in some of our prosperous society, it has even become a way of life. What does one do on the weekend? Go to the mall, search for all the good deals on the newest items. At the end of a long day, bring home bags full of things that are often not enough, that aren't even needed to begin with, while they weren't enough while you were purchasing them. Closets and drawers are filled to the brim with clothes, but people still have to buy more. And now in this age of smartphones and endless varieties of electronic gadgets, for every need that one can think of and not think of, people that they must constantly purchase the newest, the most up-to-date, the latest, the fashionable model, even though the one that they now have is completely adequate for their needs. It is agreed for the latest fashion and the latest state of the art just to have it. Sometimes it is just so that other people can see you have it. To be your own king of kings. You may not have need for this or for that, the new gadget or the new dress, but it is easy to construct a need to justify its purchase. People buy gifts themselves and justify it by saying, I deserve it because I worked for it and I earn it, and I need to buy myself presents and lavish myself. Simply put, if it is an inordinate desire to possess just because you want to have it with no real need, it is a manifestation of avarice. St. John of the Cross tells us that there is even a spiritual avarice that sometimes afflicts beginners in the spiritual life. Like misers, such people crave spiritual experiences and consolations, spiritual guides and advice, and they can never have enough rosaries, images, crucifixes to decorate their rooms. They are so consumed with their desires for the physical and the emotional spiritual good that they can't see true devotion comes rather from the heart and in not possessing the things that the mind is fed, that it believes that you're supposed to have. Everything in life is designed, it seems, at some times to sell you crap. And Revelation 17:14.